Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, the insipid ghost and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass. Of course, that will be the Expansion Pass soon because Xbox, of course, is dead, dying, and never going to have a comeback. We are joined today by Mr. Ainsley Bowden, the host of Season Gaming's Bitcast, and of course, is that a believe sign behind you?
Yes, it is, sir. Mr. Ted Lasso fan over here. That's
Ted
all.
Lasso. Good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah.
I'm just
Big
glad
fan.
to see it. Glad to see
Big
it.
fan. Yeah, I
how
actually
are you,
have
sir?
that. No joke. I got that after all hell broke loose in my work and people were let go and stuff, and I'm leading new people now. And I was like, all right, let me see. And it's a 3D printed believe sign. And I was like, this will be a good time to just put this up behind me. I have that up like as I'm working on calls.
Oh, that's nice.
Excellent. I had got that for one of my principals, just to, sometimes you got to see it. Sometimes you just got to see it.
It's good stuff. Ted Lasso is the best show, man. I'm telling you.
It really is. It's just hopium, you know?
It is.
What you need in this fucking life nowadays.
That's what Xbox needs to be watching right now. Am I right?
Some of these creators need it more than ever. God bless.
I love
Luke. What does he love?
He loves something. We're waiting for the results.
A ball. Moran.
There he is.
What happened? Did I blur again?
Yeah, you went
robot. You went right into the Matrix. Great way to start the show.
Sorry, yeah, I was like, really? We just tested it. I will say we should introduce first Joseph Moran, host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How are you feeling? You all right?
A little under the weather.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Kids, man. He's around all those kids all the time. It's a germ fest.
I wanted to be a teacher for the longest time. And now looking back in my 30s, I was like, thank God. What was I thinking? What was I thinking as a kid? Sounds like the worst job. Anyway, I'm glad it's your passion.
I do it for the money, dude.
All right.
He's only in it for the money.
Yeah. I love that sweet $50,000 check after 15 years of doing it. It's great. So,
oh, damn. Okay, don't brag about it, dude. Jesus.
Sorry. I didn't mean to show off. I didn't show off. Anyway,
you don't need the patronize XCP. He's loaded. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what I said when I guess I apparently roboted was I love the definitive wording on some of these tweets by people that have never been to college or worked at a corporation. I love these definitive verbiage, like hyperbolic statements by people who maybe play an Xbox game a year, or they spend so much time on podcasts, they don't play games, Joe's favorite panel of sevens or whatever. I just get a kick out of these people that are just capitalizing on non-information.
Yeah.
And it's wild to me. Do you want to make that our main topic right away? First off,
yeah, go for it. Let's take it away. What are we talking about for anybody who's in the car going listen, I was in a coma for this last week. What's happening over at Xbox now?
Sure. So several reports have been coming out from reputable sources, Stephen Totillo, Paul Tassi at The Verge, a number of other people. I'm sure Jason Schreier made a tweet discussing the fact that Sea of Thieves and or Hi-Fi Rush would likely go to other platforms. Subsequently, and within several days' time, it was reported by those same outlets, reputable outlets with proven track records, that Xbox is examining putting more of their content onto other platforms. The verbiage being PlayStation in some cases, other platforms. And then from there, a narrative spun up, forcing Xbox and Phil Spencer to respond with a tweet saying, subsequently, we hear you, and we'll have more to say about our plans in the following week, which we anticipate to be next week. So what's interesting about this is Xbox has already put their content on other platforms before, or previously exclusive content on other platforms before.
There is a bit you're missing, unless my ADHD got me in and out of reality for a sec.
Okay.
It's also rumored that they are taking a back step in terms of not just putting their content on more places, but depending on who you're listening to, it could be the whole slate. It could be them taking this hybrid third-party approach. It's that they want their games everywhere. We just don't know of the extent of the catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's no, it's an important thing to point out. And I was going to say, like, since the Activision Blizzard merger, there's already a number of Xbox games that exist in multiple places. Since the Bethesda acquisition years ago, there's a lot of Xbox games in other places. And we've seen them send out previously exclusive things to other platforms, i.e. Ori on Nintendo Switch. What's fascinating about it is the idea that Xbox would suddenly be dead if they indeed do this. I have a lot of mixed emotional feelings because the question becomes, what is the box worth? And I think a lot of people are right to ask that. Customers do want clarity. I think next to the Activision Blizzard merger, there is the question of, like, you spent all this money to entice your ecosystem and now you're giving it away. At least that's the verbiage that people are interpreting. And then the final thought, next to all of this, you had the 1,900 jobs let go through Activision Blizzard, new leadership acquired in Activision Blizzard since we last talked. And now we're finding out that that might have been done or set to in motion before Activision Blizzard was acquired. All that hubbubaloo is swirling around right now and really putting a damper on the social community's vibes for what Xbox is. Meanwhile, if I'm remembering correctly, the news that they might go multi-platform, their stock price is tipped up, if I'm correct. So it was very interesting to watch, and I think everybody is just asking for answers. Did I summarize the picture?
Yep.
Well,
yeah, pretty good. Pretty
Okay.
goddamn well, actually, without even reading a gosh darn thing. I like it. Yeah. And this all these rumors just started coming out late Sunday night. I think it was broke by John from Xbox Era, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then it just started, everybody started going, same, I've heard something. Yeah. I want to know, the first question to you guys, where were you the night of Sunday when all hell broke loose? Where were you guys?
I was finishing my Suicide Squad review, which was an emotional endeavor for me. So I was just like, oh God, kick me when I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be hosting an Xbox show anymore. It was crazy. And
so you weren't on that 7-hour stream? Or the
that sure wasn't.
Twitter space?
No, God, no. I can't. I don't know. I don't live that life. No. I play games.
You know, the crazy thing is, you see, like, I don't know about you guys, but I saw, I hear the rumblings in the echo chamber and I see it get reported out, and then everyone races to report some aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just read it and I'm like, okay, and go about my day. Like, for some, it turned into World War III. Or like the apocalypse, and others I was like, okay, hold on, like hold on, like I don't know why it became such a big thing. It all hell quite literally broke loose in the Xbox community this week. It was wild to watch unfold.
Yeah, and I was literally at work and I saw, like, Starfield might be the next game that comes over, and I was like, all right, well, and I just started doing my work again, and then an hour afterwards, like, next is like Gears of War or whatever, some other game. I was like, this is interesting, and I just peered in to the Xbox world for a second, and it was akin to the not Parks and Rec, the Community GIF.
Yep.
Where Donald Glover walks into the apartment and everything's on fire, like, and I'm like, and this is interesting. It's I don't. This is what the angle I want to take at it from tonight. It's very interesting. I went on a rant a few episodes back about parasocial relationships and how they are destructive in nature and they're toxic, and it's something that we have to kind of, make sure that we're self-aware of when we're communicating with each other online. And I don't know about you guys. Do you guys think this would have been as bad as it seemed if Xbox wasn't so communicative to their audience in such a personal way, where you got, Aaron Greenberg following you, Phil talking to just anyone that's anyone? Like, Do you feel like this would be as chaotic as we've seen it in the Xbox sphere if it wasn't kind of built on, like, for me, it's like relationships built on straws?
I think there's probably an argument to be made there. We've talked before at length on this show about, we appreciate Xbox's kind of the way they treat fans, right? They're closer to their fans for sure than PlayStation and Nintendo. I've benefited from that in a number of ways. Not in terms of like anything notable, but just going to events and meeting people and having conversations and stuff, right? And I really do appreciate that. But and I'm certainly not alone in this, but I know there's a lot of people like me who, again, we talk about this a lot too, but kind of live in the corporate world and understand what that relationship actually is, right? We are a consumer. They have that relationship. There's some really good people at Xbox, tremendous people, tremendous people. That no, definitely not. But I love that a lot of the community and that relationship and being able to, just be involved in that sense. But I think that there are people, right, who take that too seriously. They take it too personally, and they don't recognize that they've kind of gotten to this place where they feel like Xbox themselves or individual people at Xbox, because they're so customer facing, are not really their friends.
Yeah.
And there's, I know the people who talk to some of the senior executives, on a regular basis, but even then, I wouldn't say they're friends.
They give their close personal friend Tim some advice on how to run the $1 trillion, $1 billion companies.
Those people? It's a business relationship, and so I've always appreciated that. I think I said I was in LA in June. You guys know that, and I was privileged enough to go to the event. I went to the private media event. I was getting coffee in the hotel in the morning, and Phil was right there. He walked by. He saw me. I've talked to him before. I said, "Good morning, Phil." Other people, like, they want to race up. They say it again.
And he kissed.
Did he talk to you? Did he say hi? What did
he
say?
He just said good morning, and kept going about his day, because I'm not the person who's going to stop him and suddenly try and get involved in everything he's doing. He's a busy guy. He's got stuff to do.
Yeah, he's a person just like us. He eats the continental breakfast just like we do. He makes the shitty little waffles with us. God damn it!
And the funny thing is, I just said good morning, Phil. He said, "Hey, good morning," and kept going. And I'm drinking my coffee, and then sure enough, two other guys who I met at the event that time, really nice guys, but they saw, "Oh, Phil," and it's like. And then he has to stop and take pictures, and he's always very gracious. I'm not saying he's not. Yeah. He's awesome with that stuff. But that's the difference, right? I think there's an expectation that because some of the people like Phil, like Aaron, like others are very customer facing, and they enjoy interacting with fans, which I think is cool. But some fans take it too personal, and I think that's always that weird line. You see it with it's a weird analogy, I realize, but you see it with music artists, you see it with movie stars, you see it with famous people just in general who are well known, right? There's always that percentage of people who think that because the well-known person spoke to them or said hi or had a conversation with them, that they're now like buddy. And it's like, that's not what that is. Like, recognize the line there.
Yeah.
Ran into that a lot in the sports world when I was doing sports reporting, because an athlete isn't big. They need all the connections they can get. Then they get big. And then it's like, ooh, what relationship was this, right? What was it not? I saw that a lot with different reporters. Could you get their athletes' phone numbers or your chat or DM, the equivalent of DMs at the time? And I think there's a difference between being friendly and being friends, because I have a strong, if it was Phil, I think I'd be the other people. Phil, hey, can I get that picture? Because that's what Xbox is to me. I am an enthusiast who reports, but I'm an enthusiast press at best. That's probably the best descriptor. But I'm more I would not say I'm press.
I think if you're at an event, right? Like when we went to FanFest, right? That's different. Then okay, I talked to Sarah, talked to Phil, briefly. I'm not talking for hours. Right. That's different. But if you're just out having a coffee. Like, I'm not going to stop him. Give me a picture. What's going on with Xbox? It's like, dude, he lives and breathes this stuff every day. Give him a break. Like, you know what I mean? He's that's not the time.
To respond to Joe's question, the idea of like, is it a result of Xbox's communication or the way they have, treated fans and such?
I think so. I
think absolutely yes. I think that's mostly good, but it does backfire when they have to be a corporation. When you have to axe 1,900 jobs, when you have to do X, Y, and Z enclosures, or when you have a year like 2022, I think that happens. And suddenly that feels weird or whatnot. I do think, I don't mean the extremist verbiage. I mean the more centrist approach here. I do think it is fair for the average Xbox fan to be concerned that suddenly they have invested in an ecosystem that might no longer be a primary focus of the company.
Yeah.
That is, I think, a fair concern, because I only need Xbox to be a focus of the company. The Xbox, the hardware, the focus, selling point for one more generation, and then we'll all be playing on a Samsung TV, and it doesn't matter, or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we're one more box away from that actually being the reality.
And the reality of it is, I think Xbox is kind of aligned with you in that thinking as well.
Mhm.
The way I see it is like, to an extent, this wouldn't have been as bad as, Tim Dogg's 7-hour cry fest on Twitter.
His
and
close personal friend,
close
Joe.
personal friend.
Hey,
I play Halo with him.
Not to interrupt you. Shout out to Miles in the chat and everyone in the chat hanging out with us. I haven't talked to Miles in a while.
God bless him.
I love
He
Miles.
insulted me in the chat, but I have nothing. Listen,
Why? You are Mr. Bad Take. That's just
I'm Mr.
a
Good
fact.
Take. This is nuts.
What's up, Miles?
Listen, then you know what? I'm very excited for Visions of Mana, and I think it looks great. Is that a bad take, Miles? You tell me. But no, a part of me is like, Xbox has definitely gotten too close with influencers of all kinds, thinking like, okay, listen, hey, we know we're in a distant third. Community has to be a big focus for us, so like, we'll shake hands with anybody that kind of will, and that being said, I think it's given those people the mindset of like, oh, I know Phil, he's my Xbox friend, I sent him messages, I could give him advice. And it comes into this mess that we saw Sunday. My question for you, Ains, because you are actually someone that lives in the corporate world, and I've seen a lot of people, including myself, kind of take stabs and guesses at what's going on behind
and
the
you put
scenes.
up a good article.
And you put up a fantastic article, by the way. I just read it beforehand.
I didn't read it.
One of the
I'm sorry,
I read half of it. I read half of it, guys. My ADHD kicked in halfway through it. What I read was great.
Too many words.
Too many words, not enough pictures. I like them to move. But there's like this thought right now that's happening that all these leaks are coming somewhere. And it's coming in. It's coming from the house, inside the house, in terms of like, someone is leaking this information at a high level so that this stops or whatever. Like, they could stop this from happening by sheer people voicing out their frustrations, concerns, and whatever have you. Is any of that true, Ains?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Directly fight against the panels of 6. What do you think?
I don't know, but I would tell you I would find that extremely unlikely.
Yeah. Because you're a person who talk, like, again, you're in the corporate sector. You talk to these types of folks on the regular.
He's been there for 47 years.
47 years.
There's a lot of aspects of that just don't add up, right? One, you'd be already breaking all sorts of corporate information, which is a place you don't want to be in, right? That's different from kind of whispering about a game or something, but breaking some sort of strategic plans and putting those out in public space somewhere is a not a good place you want to be in. Two, someone in the Xbox realm that has enough knowledge of this, so you'd have to be at a certain level, right, to really understand what's actually happening and leaking it. would be, again, compounding that first issue, which would be odd because you're a lower level employee who may not think about the legal kind of issues with it, is not going to have the accurate information to leak anyway, right? And then on top of that, even the actual thought of let me throw this out to Xbox influencers to report out and create fire on Twitter, and that's going to change the direction of Xbox leadership and Microsoft is one, a kind of an absurd assumption
It's a reach, right?
to begin with. And two, it also insults Xbox leadership by telling them they don't know their audience, which we just discussed. They know their audience.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's dumb.
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, Luke Lore?
If it pleases the court. But Ains, Xbox Live had a price boost, and then everybody said on Twitter it shouldn't, and then they didn't. Exhibit A.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. Exhibit B, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay.
There have been a lot of rallies on social media that have really captured the attention of leadership and made a big difference. You were at one, if I remember correctly, some years ago. A couple years and a month today.
I didn't know what he was talking about at first.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Honest Co-op can't make an episode without referencing a joke to January 6th.
It's true.
It's only because Luke's family's locked up, and we're trying to make a point about it.
Me to the DC circuit.
Ask the pale white man why he put on a beanie. Y'all just ask. I don't know.
I also love the fact that for some reason in Cast Co-op, I come through like a complete ghost, which is the exact same lighting and setup as Bitcast, but it looks different. I don't know why.
I don't know why.
But is it that
but
same
right.
kind of energy? Like for real? Like we tweeted about it. We're gonna change everything. And it's like I don't think you are, bud.
No, it's a similar energy, but I'd say the situation is different. And again, this is just me talking. I'm just one dude. But if you think about a price hike, right? You think about plans for something like that, whether it's Xbox related or any subscription or any business, right? And you see enough of a outcry about it. The whole point of the price hike, right, was to generate more revenue, and it was poorly thought out and executed, right? I think with something like this that is seemingly much broader, post acquisition, right, post spending and a boatload of money, which I wrote about in my article, right? I think let me say it this way. I think the thing that's different about this situation is companies right now across the world globally are, and you're seeing it everywhere, right, are recouping from the COVID years, and they're rethinking their strategic priorities based on what they hired and what they projected based on what COVID did to the global industry, right? Microsoft, obviously being the richest company in the history of mankind, is going through that as well. Some of the layoffs were likely part of the acquisition. Some of the layoffs we know Activision was already planning, and it was just executed now, that post-acquisition. But my point in bringing all this up is to say something like a strategic priority that has been decided to change your game distribution strategy is not something that is thought of in like a week, right? That's something that takes a lot of planning and probably has a lot of weight behind it from the senior level of Microsoft in terms of profitability for the Xbox as a division, right? So you always have to think of Xbox as a division of Microsoft. And that's why in a lot of the articles, the kind of good articles that you read about what's going on at Xbox and Microsoft, you read a lot about Amy Hood and their CFO and their finance teams and their legal teams, because there's an awful lot that goes into making these calculations. And what I wrote in my article, and it's speculation, make no mistake, we haven't heard from Phil yet. But
you haven't had no one in your DMs.
No.
But
so you're not gonna get a DM mid-show that's gonna assure you everything's gonna be all right.
No, that's not me. No, I'm not privileged, apparently.
What if
I didn't finish my point?
You have to play it with the Lancer dual. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know. I forgot what I was saying now.
I forgot now too. I got ADHD. Luke threw us off.
I threw you off?
Yeah.
No. Oh, what I was saying was that in my opinion, based on what I've read in the reports, it feels like Daddy Microsoft has come knocking. And what I mean by that, of course, is that you don't, you're at a point where Xbox has invested somewhere in the ballpark of 80 billion. I think I said this a few weeks ago. $80 billion, right, in the gaming division. If you're not hitting your hardware targets and you're not meeting certain internal metrics, Game Pass growth has subsided or flattened. You have to start thinking about other ways of revenue generation, and that's going to mean changes. And for the people out there who are saying just keep the games exclusive, more people buy Xbox consoles, please read my article. It's not the answer. It's just not. It's not 2001, 2005 anymore. The times have changed, and my expectation is that they're going to announce a broader game distribution strategy while simultaneously trying to walk the line of why you should invest in the Xbox ecosystem.
My question for you guys is, do you think they're going to be able to walk that line and not trip?
Nope.
Because the argument would be, why buy an Xbox if I can wait a year and get Starfield on PlayStation?
Which is the same
argument.
That's the same argument you get from a lot of PlayStation exclusives. But Xbox doesn't have the install base. They're 20% of the market versus 80. Those are ballparks. But I'm remembering from the court case stuff, right? Like they don't have the market penetration to really command the customer in that direction, unless they wield and utilize Activision Blizzard like a weapon, which I don't think they want to do because they want the most money. So I'm not confident in their ability to message and plan appropriately and properly to win over an audience. That's not meant to be a diss, but I don't feel like they're bringing in a lot of new customers. I think they've got a satiated group that know what they want. I want Gears, Halo, Forza, Sea of Thieves. You know what I mean?
And apparently Arkham.
And
I do.
And Arkham.
I do. I'm ready to have this fight. But we are gonna have it.
We're gonna have it. It's gonna be a whole lot of fun.
Luke has been waiting this for weeks. The Destiny has come out in him.
Yeah.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
I like how we're just calling out people tonight, Let's keep it going.
If Destin would shut up, God,
let's keep it going.
All right, so let's focus here. So I'm not confident in Xbox's ability to do that. I'm also not confident in Xbox's announced games to win a mass amount of appeal. I don't think Clockwork Revolution's the answer. Avowed's the answer. I don't think Contraband, which we don't know anything about. What's the other? There's one more. Not Hellblade. But there were two.
Indiana Jones and Aura.
Aura might be it. But the idea, they've got a couple that are in the peak AA, low AAA look, like Clockwork Revolution. That's not winning the masses, right? I'm going to play it. I'm excited to play it. I'm there for it. But that's not bringing in many new customers the way that a Spider-Man does, right? Not just name an IP, but Starfield, new IP. Starfield did very well, but it didn't do, I think, what they wanted it to, right? Bethesda did not do for them what they wanted Bethesda to do, which was
one of the things I call out in my article is exactly that, is that, look, 2022 Game Pass subscriptions were flat. We know that from the leaked court documents from ABK, the acquisition, right? So then you look at 2023 and it was reportedly pretty flat again, even with tentpole releases like Starfield. Forza Motorsports, it's a tentpole release, but nowhere near Starfield, right?
Yeah.
But even with those releases, and reminder, tremendous third-party support in Game Pass as well. Some great releases like the Personas, right? Tactica and other MLB The Show again. And what's that?
Liza P,
another great one. Yep. Mm-hmm. So it remained flat again. So one of the sections of my article, I basically call out, looking at all the data, that look, some of these things, it's kind of funny because you can talk for hours about them, but they're very simple. And I think in my article about Game Pass, I said there's only two things you can do. You either have to get it in front of more people, or you have to charge more. Those are the only two options. That's all you have. If you charge more, then that's a risky proposition for obvious reasons, right? Everyone's kind of valuing their subscription costs across the board are going up, and you're going to lose some people. and you have to make sure that the content, the people that stay with you feel the value is there, right? So that's already walking a line between the two of what's your total revenue, because you're going to lose people, yet charge more to the people who stay. Is that a plus or minus? You may end up losing money by raising your price, right? The only other thing you can do is get it in front of more people and get more
And you
subscribers.
saw that too today with Disney announcing they lost, was it 1.3 million subscribers from Disney Plus after raising the price?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
it's
didn't know
probably a
that. Crazy.
net positive for them, because if you just do the quick math, I'm a math guy. So, you know, you've lost what? A few percentage points of your subscriber base, because don't they have like 150 million or something crazy
Something
like
like that. Something nuts.
Yeah. So
That is-
you've lost, you know, you've lost 1% of your subs, but you're charging 20% more. So that's a big win, right?
Oh, okay. This is
something
why he's
like
the
that.
math guy.
That's why it's
you know?
very useful to have someone that thinks like him.
Yeah.
Joking aside,
This is
because
literally
those are
my job. This is what I
Right.
do.
Yeah.
So
And
the only other thing I said is to get it in front of more people. So you've seen that they pushed PC Game Pass last year a lot, right? And that supposedly was 158% gain or something like that. That's good. But to your point, Luke, they're just not seeing that growth. It's slowed, right?
Mhm.
And so then the question becomes, how do you get Game Pass in front of more people? You already have it on Xbox and PC. What else are you supposed to do? So you have to either put it on other competing platforms, or you have to put it on more devices. As I wrote about in my article, I feel like I'm rehashing my article, but more devices is the obvious answer, like TV apps, right? Plugins where you don't need a console or a PC, things like that. But it's far easier said than done, because you have UI and UX concerns. You have kind of consumer knowledge concerns. You have things like controller connectivity and compatibility, and people even understanding what they need to play the games. You have TV agreements and kind of hardware agreements where if you're going to ship a TV with that app, what does that look like? What does that agreement look like? And that has to be done for every manufacturer, right? So you have all these things that make that a very challenging thing to do. And then the holy grail, of course, is, or maybe not the holy grail, maybe the apocalypse for some fans, is putting Game Pass on Switch or PlayStation. But even that is a pain in the ass, because now you've got, okay, what's the revenue sharing agreement? Do you have the same content on Xbox Game Pass as you do on Game Pass on a Switch? Probably not, because of the hardware today. On PlayStation, do you release day and date your first party exclusives on PlayStation as well as Xbox and PC? And, you know, there's just a million questions that kind of come up. And I said in my article, like, I guarantee you all these conversations are taking place, and
They probably have already taken place. And
for a long
Probably
time
months
now,
ago.
I promise you. Yeah, for a long time. And I'm glad I'm not the one that has to solve it, though I do wish I got those types of paychecks, because those kind of people make some serious money.
That said, GameFire writes in with a comment that you talked about, again, porting not just games, but Game Pass over to like PlayStation and Nintendo. GameFire writes, Jez Corden said, I think last week, that when we first heard about the rumors that this will hurt the brand and do damage, and also says that if those games are ported to PlayStation and Nintendo, and if they're ported to PlayStation and Nintendo, will they sell? Or what happens if they don't sell?
I mean, I pulled this up to make it a little easier.
Yeah.
Sorry, there we go. So Luke's not hidden. Well, I think that's what I've said this many times on the show. That's what you have teams of highly paid people to analyze. So I promise you, they have figures around this. They may not be exact, but they have an idea. And let's not forget, Minecraft is on PlayStation. You know, there's other Xbox games on other
Diablo's
platforms.
on PlayStation, Call of Duty's
right.
on PlayStation.
So they know what the sales are for those types of games. So they have metrics around that, and I think that we're probably going to see some of that next week. One thing I do want to mention and call myself out on is, which was a very stupid thing I said last episode or 2 episodes ago. We were talking about this already, about potentially other games like Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves going to other platforms. And I remember talking about Sea of Thieves being the more interesting one, because you have to have someone on PlayStation essentially logging into an Xbox account and server to play Sea of Thieves. And that has broader implications than like Hi-Fi Rush, which you just log in and play, right? Well, idiot me was forgetting that, of course, they already do that with Minecraft. Right. So when you log into Minecraft, you're playing on a server that's hosted in Azure, and you're seeing the Xbox logo when you play that game already. So that kind of technical hurdle is already solved. I don't know why I forgot that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me.
I don't think that's I don't think you're. I mean, I do think you're an idiot, but I don't think it's related to that specifically. Minecraft servers were established and multi-platform for years before even
Yes,
Microsoft
true,
acquired it.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
Yeah.
then there is
But
that.
the integration of those services has already occurred. So, but anyway, that's off track. But no, I mean, yeah, sure, you could have a scenario where you release Starfield with its expansion next year on PlayStation, and it sells 500,000 copies, which is considered disappointing. And then, then what do you do? I don't know. That could happen. I don't think it would, but it could.
And there's the element that, like, the solution in my mind is not a silver bullet, one answer fits, right? Like, that is not a reality. People often talk about education and they're like, how do we fix it? Pay the teachers. Yeah, that's part of the equation, bro.
Yeah, there's lots of
it.
things.
But
Yeah.
there's no, and it would take time. Like, you couldn't pay the teachers more for 2 years and then think, no, you need the smart people to want to invest into that career path and then go to school for it. And then that's a 10 to 15 year draw out line. I think when you look at Xbox, to me, the immediate answer. What? You're muted.
I'm being silly. Keep going. Don't let me interrupt you.
Okay. You dumb mother. The immediate answer is consistently what it has been for the entirety of gaming.
Right.
Make better games. Make games that are enticing, that people want to play. Now, it is a much more complex thing to do now than it was even in the Xbox One, PS4 generation. But the reason people buy a box is to have a certain experience. And then there's again much more complex than that. But had Starfield been better, had Halo Infinite been complete at launch, and
it was
had
good. Hey, it was good, you son of a bitch.
It was good. It was good.
Are you going back to Halo?
All right. No.
I'm already
He's talking about
gonna.
Starfield. He's talking about Starfield, and it wasn't.
Starfield's good.
He's saying it wasn't great. It wasn't an amazing RPG. That it didn't change my life. All right.
Good.
Guess what? It was great. I did have fun.
Starfield's that game when when people like say something they don't fully believe in, their pitch gets high.
Yeah.
People like, how was Starfield? You're like, it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's a good game. I enjoyed it.
But had the game been better, less controversy, and I don't mean in the social spaces, but like even amongst critics,
if IGN didn't give it a 7 because it's obviously a 9.5.
But it's fascinating to me, if the games had been better, the narrative would have been different. Simply put, like, you had in the Series SX generation, you had Halo, which was tied to Gen 8 Xbox One. Is that Gen 8? Tied to Gen 8. It was a Gen 8, Gen 9 crossover. And then it had to play on PC also. And then you had to have a content delivery system and an engine that was new. So it was like, well, that's weird. Then you have it was Forza Horizon 5. Then you have your dry year where it's only third-party releases and live service titles. Sea of Thieves found its footing, lost its footing, is back founded again in this time window. And then you have the Bethesda year where Deathloop, Ghostwire come to the platform. It's Age of Empires on PC. Microsoft Flight Sim is somewhere in there. And then Redfall hits, which was supposed to be a pillar, and it was a year early. Game's in a pretty good state now. Cough, cough, hand.
It was a year late, but still a year early. Yeah.
Yes. You're absolutely right. I had a cool conversation off.
And I liked Redfall.
As did I. Yeah, I guess it's great.
Redfall's good. It's good. Good game.
But I did have a conversation about Redfall, and I think you'll hear something soon from me on that, which is neat. But that didn't do what it's supposed to do. You have Forza Motorsport, pretty feature incomplete. Didn't seem to light the world on fire.
Forza's been one of my most disappointing things recently, honestly. I'm a Forza diehard, and I got crap from some people when I reviewed it because I only gave it an 8.
I think you scored it high. I don't know cars, but like it felt high.
Yeah,
experience. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to my review. I gave it an 8, but it was like an 80. I was below the meta with my review, and then some of the Xbox sites gave it like a 9.5, and I'm like, guys, come on. Anyway.
But it's a sim. And then next to that, you have this poor, odd messaging. So you have some real flounders or real confusing releases in the year of your multiple exclusive games coming to pass. So the Bethesda year week. And then next to that, you're still showing Hellblade and it's not out. You're still talking about Fable. Perfect Dark is nowhere to be found. Indiana Jones, is it, will it, won't it? The messaging at the time left for a community that was desperate for wins. And then to see this news, that community went rampant. It's understandable, at least on my side as an enthusiast press who does love Xbox, because where is Gears? Where's this? Where's that? I understand. But also, like, come on, there's so many wins to be had in gaming. Xbox is fine. They just spent $70 billion and they have 2 cash cows between Diablo's content and Call of Duty's content, plus World of Warcraft, which is an IP you can do a lot with, and not to mention whatever Candy Crush does, which is
almost endless IPs right now. I mean, their IP ownership is insane.
Correct. But I do think somewhere in there, you've got to find a way to incentivize people to your ecosystem. And that comes with something you can only get in that ecosystem. And you won't do that with Call of Duty. You won't do that with Diablo. You won't do that with Warcraft. I'm in agreement with those ideas. So what is it? Because if you lose the box, what happens to your back compat library you spent how much money and time building? What happens to quick resume and some of your features? There are net wins and gains if a box goes away or is de-incentivized. A box is not going away, by the way, but like
not in the short term.
Yeah. Oh,
you went robot again, Luke.
He started lagging again.
Yeah.
Is de-incentivized.
Oh, there he is.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're right when you were trying to close out that point.
We can't get through an episode without some type of technical difficulty.
Yeah.
Take a shot, guys.
Yeah. So I joked last week that, if you kind of read the writing on the wall and look at where not only Xbox is headed, but Microsoft, and kind of, you dig really into the details, right? They've been driving towards this direction for a long time, right? The entire end goal is service and distribution, right? It's not box related. I have talked to people that are intimately familiar with these types of things, and it's just that's the plan. I mean, that's where the technology is going, and really, to your point, Luke, which is one of the things I could have talked a lot more on in my article, was around around exactly that. Is the keyword is ecosystem, and we've been talking about that for a while, but ecosystem is, how do you incentivize people, one, to want to invest in the Xbox ecosystem or stay invested in the Xbox ecosystem if some changes are made, right? And two, what does that look like, and how do you get more people to do that? Especially, to your point, if console starts to be deprioritized. And to be clear, not saying it's deprioritized now. It is deprioritized in the long term, because you won't need a console in the long term. We just don't know where that horizon is. But the fact of the matter is that everything you mentioned in terms of like the concerns I most rightly see, right, is like digital library, your digital ownership. Okay, you don't need your console for that. It's already, you're not, there's nothing your console does other than authentication of your account, which is still done at the cloud level anyway. You don't need that to play your digital games. Hell, you can log in xCloud right now and play your games, right? What I write about is that everything Xbox has been doing for several years now, and why I'm so interested in them as a techie and an application guy, is because they've been removing barriers of entry, right? They introduce xCloud, you introduce Bluetooth controllers, you create touchscreen controls that are native for Xbox games. You do all of these things because you're slowly, one by one, removing barriers of entry for people to play in the Xbox ecosystem. That's the end goal.
I think what people are losing sight on is the fact that the Xbox ecosystem is not just centered around the console.
Hasn't been for a while.
It's centered around you, the gamer. It's about where are you? Where are you? Are you on a phone? Okay, we'll try to get you there. Are you on a tablet? We're gonna try to get you there. Are you on this box? We're gonna try to get you there as well. Or are you on PC? We're gonna try to be there. As a PlayStation guy, I go back to the Insomniac hacks where PlayStation admits that concerned of how Microsoft already has plans for a iPhone app and that they don't. That they're closer to mobile than they are. So it's like, to me, as a PlayStation fan, and not one of the ecosystem, I can understand like people's like hesitance or like, nervousness around it. Holy shit, I just remembered Ains is super bald. He took off the beanie. It really culture shock. But like,
Now you know why he stormed the Capitol. It makes a lot more
it makes
sense.
a
Oh
whole
my
lot. I would be
God.
upset too, honestly. But as a PlayStation fan, I'd be concerned as well. Like when people are like, "Oh, these are just grown men fighting over boxes," I can understand like some of the attachment because, like, you play. It's kind of like what happens if like Nintendo just flipped the switch. You can't play Metroid anymore, right? Like the attachment to games that I love, like Bloodborne and Ghost, like Halo, Gears. I could understand some of that for the box for sure. But at the same exact time, as a PlayStation fan, I look at this going, and PlayStation was 4 years late to cloud and PC, and we're going to be 4 to 5 years late on them putting all their games on all different sorts of things. That this is just gonna happen. The box isn't going to be the main thing. The main thing is the ecosystem where you're able to play your Last of Us, your Halos and Gears. It's going to evolve. And right now we're in this weird in between. Like we're starting to do the shift. Pikachu's starting to evolve for the kids there. And it's freaky because there's so many things that we're used to or accustomed to. I just always go back to the simple fact of like, remember when Xbox ported their games to PC and we thought it was the end of the world then, and they're making now more money than they ever have? You're gonna be
There was a time when Sonic was synonymous with the Sega Genesis. Sonic is now everywhere. People are okay. Halo, Gears, Forza, Sea of Thieves, they are not going anywhere except to more people, more places. Regardless of whatever Phil says next week, in time, that's what's going to happen by way of one way or another as the ecosystem evolves and changes. So it'll be fun to watch there. I do think it's interesting and worth pointing out that either coincidentally or not, it's fascinating that Halo's multiplayer and single player have been decoupled. Call of Duty's multiplayer and single player have been decoupled. And Sea of Thieves is likely going other places. You've got Fallout 76 going other places. Grounded, quite possibly. A lot of their live service stuff may indeed hit other platforms, and single player might be the draw for the short term stay in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, we don't know the extent of. So like to me, I'm I am at the end of like this 40-minute discussion. I'm like, let's just wait and see what happens next week. Everybody keep your pants on.
I think people are acting like next week like your console's dead. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is just the next extension of an evolving, I forget how I worded it in my article, but an evolving industry, right? The industry has evolved in many ways over the past several decades. And this is just the next evolution of that. It's all about service. It's all about ecosystem. And believe me, I say that even though I'm in tech and I, love talking about this stuff, dude, I still buy physical games. Like I literally waited an extra day to get Infinite Wealth and Suicide Squad because I had ordered them online and I couldn't go to the store and get it because even GameStop didn't have copies. I called GameStop. They're like, yeah, we didn't get any. I'm like, all right, my world is over. This
I'm
sucks.
sorry. Wait, what store did I call? Did I call Walgreens? No, sir, GameStop. And you don't have to get, okay.
We do have the new Pops in, if you'd like.
Yeah. So like, I come from the age, we joke, I'm older here. I've been around since the Atari and I love my consoles. I love my physical games and I always will. But you also have to be realistic and realize that one thing I did say 2 weeks ago on our last show, which I absolutely stand by, is that this is a very rich corporate industry now. And that is going to bring with it corporate decisions. And corporate decisions revolve around a single thing, and that is revenue. And in obviously a derivative of revenue is your profitability. and that is going to come with decisions like these that are made purely from a financial. Well, what we may see, again, we don't know, but decisions we think we're going to see, which are made from a financial perspective. And that doesn't mean gaming is going to be bad. It doesn't mean your experience is going to be terrible. In fact, as I end with in my article, I think gaming is still better than it's ever been on the whole, and I think its brightest days are still ahead. But you just have to get used to change. Change always comes with compromises, and that's what we're going to see. One thing I didn't touch on while you're talking, Luke, real quick, is what the big question is: how do you get players to still want to invest in the Xbox ecosystem if they can get some of those games elsewhere, if the console gets deprioritized, if you make these kind of larger scale changes? That is the kind of golden question, and they're going to have to try and walk that line. And I joke in my article, I'm glad I'm not the one trying to walk the line. That's going to be really tough. I think what we'll see is you're going to see limited game releases on other platforms. You're going to see games where the IP has some type of draw on other platforms, or they think it can do well, right? Starfield, Indiana Jones. Like you said, live service games are probably a good thing where your user base on a monthly active, an MAU count matters. Those types of things matter.
Yeah,
hell, we get MLB The Show on Xbox, right? They did that 2 years ago. They saw double, I think it's somewhere around double the player count. Their revenue on their, what's the mode all the sports games have where you buy packs?
Ultimate Team, but it's not Ultimate Team for them,
whatever it is in show. That was their highest profitability of that ever in
Diamond
the show.
Dynasty, I think it's called.
I think you're right.
Luke was talking about it. Or sorry, Kyle was talking about it.
You know what happened the next 2 years? The show's launching on Xbox.
Yeah.
It's money.
And what changed? Nothing.
Yeah, it's okay. People are still playing the show on PlayStation or in
That's
the PlayStation
ecosystem. When I'm asked at the end of the day, they're like, I was asked on a show earlier this week, well, what if it was Last of Us? Would you have the same? Yeah, absolutely. More people get to play one of my favorite games ever made.
Really? You'd be okay with that?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. It's like I always go back to I'm a PlayStation gamer. That's where I usually play most of my games, right? You guys know I'm a slut for trophies, all that jazz. But if it just means that
we're not just trophies.
I want listen. I want to get into the Suicide Squad talk. Let's relax. But the reason why I'm a PlayStation gamer is not because of the box. It's because of Naughty Dog, Insomniac, the whole pantheon of the PlayStation studios. And if the one thing that PlayStation is in that similar place, it's what I talked about on the trophy room, where it's they're finding out their ceiling. They're just in a better place because those games sell a whole lot more. Right. So if a game's really great, it's a Spider-Man, it's somewhere in the high 20s or low 20s, whatever. If you're God of War, you're in the 15s. And if you're not so great, your Days Gone, arguably, and you're at 7.5. Right. You're still selling really well, but the cost to make those games are getting higher and higher, and you're not growing that segment yourself. So, you've seen PlayStation go into PC, and what have I gotten out of The Last of Us going to Steam Deck? Or what have I lost? Nothing. I've gained nothing either. It's just there, and I could play it if I want to on a Steam Deck, and Joel could look busted, and that's about it. So
well, I think
it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, no, it just doesn't matter to me anymore. If I was a younger man, then maybe it would have, but I think age and perspective have gotten to me.
Well, and we say, what are we going to gain from it? And on paper, you're not gaining anything, but there are ancillary benefits, right? Because what it means is that the company that you love and support in PlayStation is making more money, which allows them to fund more game development, right? And that is the goal at the end of the day. Is you want Xbox. We were all very excited. Well, I'd say a lot of people were excited when Xbox acquired Bethesda, acquired ABK, and you thought about the potential of what Xbox Studios could be, right? And this large scale thing. That takes an awful lot of money to run. It took an awful lot of money to buy. Now it takes an awful lot of money to run, right? And you want them to have the creative freedom we've seen for games like Psychonauts 2, right? That I adore. And games like that, Sea of Thieves is another one. Give them the freedom to make something like Sea of Thieves. And you want them to be able to support their developers better.
I mean, look at a game like Helldivers, right? It's launched on PlayStation today and PC at the same exact time. No skin off my back. I would just like to get into a game because the game keeps crashing. But like other than that, it's like, okay, cool, it's there.
Yeah, and I would just end on my last point, and I want to address Yasid. What's up, man? He said the problem is no one else is evolving like Xbox. The change is good, but only for the side that is not going through change.
That's fair.
I see that. They have a Sega problem. They have the modem before its time. They had the always online before its time. They have the like there is something to be said for advancing too quickly before the market's ready. Is that what he means, or am I over inferring?
I think he means that he could. I took it as Xbox is going to put their games on other platforms, but PlayStation won't put their games on other platforms.
Oh,
because I've seen that argument as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you're an Xbox fan, you're not gaining anything, you're just losing. Whereas a PlayStation fan is a sole player is gaining. Do you know what I mean?
Which is a bad statement. You're not losing anything. Like you're not losing anything. Nothing's being taken away from you.
Yeah.
You might.
Well, like I just said, there's ancillary benefits there because there's more revenue for the group you support, right? So you'll probably get additional games in the long run and additional new IPs and things like that. But I still think, again, at the end of the day, I don't think we're speculating on worst case scenario, perhaps. I still think there's going to be a lot of incentive to remain invested in the Xbox ecosystem. You still, at least for the foreseeable future, get to play on a fantastic console. They've commented about next console already. You've got these devices, you've got Xbox Live, you've got Game Pass, and I still think you're going to see exclusivity to a degree. I think you're going to see benefits of being a Game Pass subscriber and being in the Xbox ecosystem. They'll probably expand the perk system or give, some type of thing in that vein. You're still going to have benefits of being an Xbox, even if you're an Xbox only player, you'll see benefits from first party in that vein. I think they're just going to be looking at ways to increase revenue in various degrees.
Like the idea of like, oh, if you're an Xbox console player, you get the XP boost in Call of Duty. You get the little, like, do you talk about like that kind of stuff? Because that is what I see happening once those marketing deals are done. It flips.
They could, they specific to Call of Duty. I don't know, only because Phil has been pretty clear they want that to be flat for all players, right? But I do think you'll see benefits in some vein like that for being that. And again, I don't think you're going to hear that every Xbox game is suddenly going to be on PS5. Like, I don't think that's what you're going to see. I could be wrong. Who knows? But I don't think that's what you're going to see. And let me end.
The exclusive is just Game Pass. Like, that's how I think of it. Like,
I think it will be for some time. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, because like that's the reason why I'm buying an Xbox. Like, or why I bought an Xbox. Why I'm buying an Xbox. It's Game Pass. It's the fact that like, hey, I could play Call of Duty. Or a game that tangible. I could play, Sea of Thieves for $70 on PlayStation, or I could pay, what is it, $16 to try it out. And there's no harm, no foul, because if I don't like it, there are 500 plus games that I could play right now. And so like for me, it's like, some people are like, well, they're de-incentivizing the box. It's like, well, what do you kind of? I get that to an extent. And it's like, well, why buy the console? But it's like, to me, it's like the console's already not selling great. You have to, they hit their ceiling. They're
done.
This console's going to end up being around 50 million. Phil Spencer said it. They lost a generation to lose. They're going to hang around 50 million. Look if they were able to sell close to 60 million units with the Xbox One, let's be honest, they're going to be able to do that with the Series X and X. So like for me, I don't see that argument as all too valid, because we're already seeing that people's Xbox's hardware is not in people's mind's eye the way that it is on other platforms. Like, for example, we bring up PlayStation, but like the Nintendo Switch is about to be the highest selling video game console ever made, right? We keep on bringing like PlayStation into the equation. There is possibly 150 million Switch users running around. Don't you want them to get acquainted with some of, your beloved IP? Let's just say, I don't know, like a Banjo or something like that. Like there's something like, I don't, not that I don't sympathize with it. I just see maybe for those folks, the sad reality of it is.
Yeah, and so Rick, shout out Rick. What's going on, man? He said, I'd argue you're losing the potential growth of your platform. That can be fanboyish, but there's also some merit to it. And then what I would say there, Rick, is the word platform jumps out, right? Because the console is not the platform. And so, again, you have to think about ecosystem. The goal for Xbox has not changed, and that is growing their monthly active users in the Xbox ecosystem. How they get to that metric or how they deliver that number is probably what they're most focused on evolving, which the console will play a smaller part in into the future. But that's not new. We've known that. That's just been a reality of the world we live in.
All right, boys, listen. Enough of this.
Luke's already on it, man. Look at
these rumors, okay? I don't like us agreeing and seeing perspectives that we maybe didn't have walking into this podcast. I want to get heated. I want to die on a molehill today.
We're only giving Luke 4 minutes to say his piece. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay, Luke, talk about the Suicide Squad. Your thoughts, where you want to take this conversation.
And just to be clear, we'll come back after Xbox delivers next week. So join us in Cast the next episode, and we'll revisit this whole conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What are you asking? I'm not sure how to start.
I don't even know how to start this. That's why I'm passing it on to you, because you've been very passionate about Suicide Squad. So for folks
I'm more sick of Ains being in my DMs and telling me that I don't feel the way I feel, and it's more.
Luke feels torn because to him,
I didn't say you don't feel the way you feel. I said that you, like seemingly many others, are mad that Suicide Squad is not the next Arkham game, and that is readily apparent by everything you say.
Yes. But I never denied
that.
But
you disagreed with me yesterday when I said that.
No, I think we're talking about two different things.
You want me to put the DM up on the screen? Because I can.
We can talk about two different. I don't mind that, to be clear.
I don't know what type of heinous shit we've said.
You said something.
I'd have to cut it.
Up, man.
I called Luke gay like 4 times yesterday. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, that's just gay if you want Henry Cavill to hold you in his arms. That's not the same thing. It doesn't count if he's Superman. All right. Anyway,
it's not. It doesn't count if he's wearing the cowl.
So let me start by saying that I've been frustrated with Suicide Squad on a number of levels, particularly because and I think many others do want it to be the next Arkham game, because that is Rocksteady's legacy. Arkham's legacy. That is what it is. And they chose to extend that Arkham storyline in Suicide Squad. That does legitimately bother me. And I think it is in conflict with the type of game that it tries to be. I did put out my first video review ever, recorded it in one take. It feels a little amateur in some spots, but I was really proud of that. And I hope people do go watch it, because my goal with it was to arrive with the feelings that I had, detail that for the audience, and explain that what I dislike about Suicide Squad is very different than I guess the experience that some are going to have, because I, like many, am arriving with baggage that comes from the Arkhamverse. And this game they chose to put it in the Arkhamverse. I think the game is in conflict with itself fundamentally, because it opens up brilliantly. The opening of the game suggests one thing that the end game experience is wholly different from. And I had a lot of fun at various points in the story, in the game, in the overall. But I think it also does great disrespect with poor gameplay mechanics, poor writing in some spots. And what we have is what is clearly a game that was either restarted multiple times and patchworked together and had different visions. And that is very frustrating to me. I am having a great time playing a very, very well-produced, well-made endgame that only has 3 missions, which lacks mission variety.
Right.
But I'm enjoying this part of it because I'm not doing something that narratively is in conflict and badly written. So that is a lot of what I have. I have these conflicting feelings throughout my entire time of Suicide Squad, which I'm at 36 hours at this point. I found every Riddler trophy, did all the challenges. I'm in the end game loop, which is diminishing returns at the moment. I've leveled up 2 characters to max, and now they're on their Paragon boards. I'm doing the next 2.
Right now, baby.
What's that?
I maxed them all
Already? Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, and like, I'm
serious?
ready.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Jesus
time.
Christ.
Yeah, that's a lot of time.
I've put
Don't
30
you get
hours.
a job, you hobo?
I do. Sometimes I play at work.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I should know up.
Don't call me out.
I will tell
Okay,
you.
Mark.
I will tell you before we go back into and extract those points. I love some of the story possibilities that are badly told in the game.
Yeah.
I love some of the stuff that's on the roadmap. Very excited for some of the stuff on the roadmap. I am just sad that this is the 9-year wait thing we got. But that doesn't mean I'm not enjoying parts of the gameplay. In fact, I even called that out in my review. Ains talked about his article 500 times. I'm going to say in my review, I literally talk about how the end game is beautiful and frenetic, and just the screenshots are a mess because you have to learn this game's language, and it is a mess of stimulus that you've got to adapt to. And so I have a lot of problems with Suicide. And I'd rather answer questions or debate because I don't know how to say it without just re-saying my review.
So I feel like you're cold water, I'm warm water, and Ains is piping hot, right?
Yeah.
So I'll get with my take. I agree with Luke on many things. It's weird because I think Suicide Squad is written. It's like it has some really great writing and then some like truly awful ideas.
Yeah, like what are you doing with this?
Yeah. For example, you're killing the Justice League. I don't know if you know that. And some people have been harking on some of the supposed deaths of said team, but it's actually how they're portrayed that I don't like in the slightest. Like in the beginning of the game, Batman is kind of like the general controlling all these troops on the field.
Only the most minor of spoilers here. We will not take away big things, but only very small things that we don't think will damage your experience. So if you want to go cold, stop now, but we're not going to like ruin the narrative for you.
I haven't even finished the game, so
okay.
The story.
I will say that for a team that's written Batman, it seems like they don't know Batman. And I seen some devs go out there going, no, but like Kev loved his performance. Like, that's great. Like, I love my podcast. Sometimes I put out a bad episode. Like it's not that like his performance is bad. It's just like this Batman doesn't shut the fuck up. Like he just constantly talks shit. Like it's
Hey Luke,
how
funny is it the PlayStation guy's complaining about a character not shutting up?
I know.
Jesus Christ.
And honestly, I was like, dude, stop talking about your satchel, okay? Like, or stash, whatever you're putting it. Like, it's like, dude, just stop talking. Like, let me explore the world.
It's too much.
There are just some characters that just seem, and I get it, they're the bad version of themselves, but it's like, you're not even Bruce. It's like,
can I address that?
Very strange. Yeah.
So the irony, the awkward, the frustrating, the pissed off portion of that element, it comes in twofold. One, these are meant to be the gods of the DC universe, right? Like these are the Justice League, and they don't get to have a heroic. Only one of them gets to have a heroic moment of good guy turned bad, and that's when Flash is holding on to Diana's lasso. And again, like I said, very minor spoilers. This isn't ruining anything for you. But she, for a moment, extracts the real Flash's vibe. And she's like, what do I have to do to stop you? And he says, you have to kill us. And that's the real him.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the rest of the moments, none of the characters have a redeeming time of writing. So we don't actually get to see what Jon Stewart was like, or let him have a moment where he briefly sees through Brainiac's mind control. And in Batman's case, he does never shut up. The conceit that is out there that many reviewers, including myself in their process, despite a good attention, he's narrating what you're doing or commenting on what you're doing, and he's watching you and hunting you. If you turn and look around in certain moments, you'll see him. That's really cool. But you can miss it so easily that he just never shuts up. And they're meant to. This is the Arkham callback element that Ains doesn't carry the baggage with.
Yeah.
In Asylum, it's Joker talking to you. In City, it's Hugo Strange. In Night, it is Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And that's meant to be that extension, that same thing. But
And-
it's just annoying.
And like the way that they handle you is like, hey guys, knock it off through like the megaphone. It's like, I would have loved, there's some things that I would like, yeah, Batman's legitimately hunting you. Like he's gonna fight you, like a Mr. X moment for some of these heroes. That
Dude,
be
I would
really
hate
cool.
that.
Oh,
I would despise that.
But anyway, and I'm putting my ideas into there. So like to me, it's just like the writing is all over the place because the Suicide Squad themselves, the team, written excellently, man. I love how Harley's portrayed. King Shark is
the goat.
Is
but
just,
also, how is he a villain? He's the nicest guy.
He's the nicest dude. I love him.
So why is he on the Suicide Squad?
You just don't know better. Like Captain Boomerang is just totally obnoxious, and he is me. But like they each all have really great moments as well. The story just kind of meanders at the end after some really just PS2 level boss fights that are just, it's weird because like to me it's like, use the level, like use the traversal that y'all are talking about. There's only one boss fight that truly utilizes it well. Because that's the thing, while the story and the writing is weak, to me the combat, the fighting hordes of whatever the hell these things are, traversing through the city. The one thing that I disagree with your review there, Luke, is like having maxed out every single one of these characters, there is a learning curve to each one. But once you learn it, you're like, oh my God, this feels really good. And it's not like after 3 hours, it's like after like a good 10-15 minutes, I feel really comfortable. I think the one that took me the longest to master was Harley, and once I got Harley's movement right, I was like, I actually think she has the best traversal in the game. So the gameplay itself is really great, but it's also content light. Like realistically, there's only 3 things to do, and they all kind of blur into the same thing at the end of the day. And that's where this game feels weak. I understand where you're at, Luke, right? Because you're coming from a place of Arkham. I typically don't, because that was my brother's game. I just watch him play. And so like I'm enjoying this game for what it is, but also realizing that, yeah, this definitely seemed like a whole lot of ideas made it to the cutting room floor somehow. They somehow were able to piece something together, and it's not what is and are truly remarkable games in the Arkhamverse. So I can understand your disappointment, because like for Ains, it's kind of like if you saw Christopher Nolan right after Oppenheimer, you're like, what's next from Nolan? It's Flubber remade, It's like you would hate that.
Yeah.
So I understand.
I have counterpoints, but we haven't let Ains.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So
you give me a lot of shit, bro. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I know. No, because we're ending soon. Because I'm starving. Because you made me record at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, like I'm 80 years old.
Your mom's in town. Like, what are you talking
about? What was I gonna say? I really like Suicide Squad. I like it an awful lot. I think, and it's funny because I know some of the guys that I'm playing with and talk to are loving it quite a bit too. And one of the things that I think that I've joked with you about, Luke, is it absolutely feels, and maybe you can call this anecdotal, you can say whatever you want about it, but it absolutely feels like a part of the backlash about this game is that it is not the next Arkham game. It is everywhere. If you read reviews, whatever you do, and I've read quite a few now, like Game Informer's Brian, good guy, don't get me wrong, I'm not calling out Brian, but the online editor for Game Informer, who's also, by the way, I like Game Informer a lot. He said, I'd rather just go back to playing the Arkham games. I'm like, then do it. Nothing is stopping you from playing the Arkham games. You don't have to be playing Suicide Squad. You weren't even reviewing it. Yeah. I don't understand the incessant need to focus on this game being something different from the Arkham trilogy. I understand the Arkham trilogy is beloved. I understand it is one of those games that sits really high up for people like you, Luke. I get all that, right? Like, I get it. This game is not that. And I just don't like that it's been held to a standard of it's not as good as Arkham. It's not what I wanted out of the game. They've worked on it for years and it's not perfect. All these kind of arguments around what it is, what it isn't versus what it is. And I don't like that aspect of it. That said, I agree with a lot of your guys' complaints. The world can feel very repetitive. There's not a ton of variety in what you're doing moment to moment between the missions, right? The enemy variety, I think, is lacking. I could get into some things. There's aspects of the game that clearly feel like they tried to go one direction, then go another direction, and they pieced it together. So I get all that. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm not calling this game a 9 or a 10 or anything like that. Yeah. But I am really enjoying it. It has a very, call it whatever you want. At the end of the day, does it have an addictive gameplay loop? Hell yeah, it does. It's fun as hell to play. And they nail. Yeah, I'm very excited to get there. But honestly, I looked just before we were playing. I was playing it earlier today, and I looked. I have 20 hours in the game, and I'm not through the story yet. I'm enjoying myself. I'm doing all the side stuff. I've done all the Riddler things, and I'm just exploring, getting loot, and goofing off. But the thing that jumps out to me, and I've said this before, is like this honestly feels like The Division with a giant wacky superhero skin on top of it. Because it is a 4-player co-op with skill tree, very loot heavy game with a big open world that you can just go and goof off and loot, and obviously the end game, we talked about. So I'm really enjoying it, I guess I should say, for what it is. I find myself wanting to play it constantly. That's always a sign of a game I like, right? I want to turn it on and play it. In fact, since I got into Suicide Wealth, I haven't gone back to Suicide Squad. I haven't gone back to Infinite Wealth, and Infinite Wealth is amazing so far. Yeah. But just because I've been having such fun with Suicide Squad. So
side road. Infinite Wealth, can I hop in that right now and play it without having to play the first one, or would you recommend playing the first one?
You can. You just won't get the depth. You won't get the background of the main characters.
Okay.
Like him and his friends. But I recommend those games.
Because I feel like
to anyone.
Go again. I really do.
They're amazing.
Can I?
Anyway. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, there's a point that you keep making. About reviewers blaming it for not being Arkham, and I've made a conscious effort in my review and in my discussions of it. I am angry that it's not Arkham, but I have not taken that out on this game, and that is two different things. I think that's where we clash most. My review and assessment of this game is not informed by my disappointment that it's not an Arkham game. They never said it would be, but they did make conscious choices to put it in the Arkham verse and bring elements therein. And those elements, because of that confluence of different mishmash styles of writing and gameplay, are in conflict with one another. And that is the part, like, how great is that scene where you go through the Arkham verse storyline? That's such a cool thing.
At the beginning. Yeah, very cool.
You never do that again. Or anything similar in context or element. There's never a moment that you go back to that. And they're in such...
Why would you?
What I'm saying is you don't reach those heights of narrative later on. And what happens consistently is you see these things that you can tell they were trying to do Arkham again or not. And it's like either commit or don't, because that clash is where I run into such frustration. I am disappointed it's not Arkham, but I think if you hear my review and like really hear listen to the way that I say things, the wording, it's not a matter, like, this game is, to me, not punished for not being Arkham. It's punished for bringing about these gods of this universe that are supposed to be the big bads and giving the lamest boss fights we've ever played.
Yeah. A quadrilogy. They're not that bad. Come on.
They are.
No, trust me, dude.
They're not great. Calling them the lamest boss fights you've ever played is a huge stretch.
Like, if I'm just may say.
Why are you saying trust? I finished 4 of them.
What was
Whoa. So have you killed Batman?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a quadrilogy of games building up the epicness of this character.
Here we go. Doing it again.
No,
listen,
not
take
doing
those
it
4
again.
games out of it. Take the 4 games out of it.
You've got the Batman.
You went
That's not the
your
same.
mind went immediately to it.
You are conflating two. See, that's the problem. That's where I'm getting so pissed off about it. It's like that's not the same thing. You spend a narrative. You chose to use the same character. You spend four games worth being epic. The big thing about Suicide Squad is that they can take on the Batman. That's a regular thing for Deadshot and Harley Quinn. That's their main antagonist, protagonist versus element. And this guy, the boss fight, you're
Don't
walking.
ruin it. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
You're walking. There's no boss fight. There's no real element to that. That's the problem, is that you build up these great elements. These characters are supposed to be some epic thing. The only compelling true moments are Flash and Boomerang's verbiage.
Yeah.
And even then, and then your real big bad at the end, you will find, Ains, is just a rehash. And it's not the live service reasoning. It's just bad writing, bad gameplay design. That part sucks. The running, the jumping, the graphics, the sight, the loot, all dope. But these characters deserved better. I'm not even talking about the heroes. The villains. Harley's writing during the death of the Batman, her main dude, it doesn't match. It's bad. Like, it's not okay to say it. And it doesn't matter if you bring Arkham baggage to it or not. Harley Quinn and the Batman are rivals. That's a problem. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not bringing my angst against the Arkham verse into that. That's a Harley Quinn and Batman problem. Like, it doesn't do it justice. These are the big bad. They off one. They're like, all right. No, your dude. That was your dude. That was the one. That's why you existed. Whatever. It happens more.
It's not quite whatever, but I get your point.
Yeah.
So that's the part that I wanted to make.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
the Batman fight, to me, take out the Arkham element, like, it's Batman. Like, you can't take Batman, like, this is supposed, like, I think the first encounter with him is awesome. I like that. And then the second one's just like, I literally played this boss fight 10 plus years ago. I'm not kidding you. That's an Ulduar raid boss in World of Warcraft. And I'm like, this is the same mechanics. Like, someone just took someone's homework. Like, it was, I was just like, how do we get someone so legendary and we make a boss fight that just feels just so slow, and when we get there, it feels
in the very opening of the game. When you are going through the retelling or whatnot, and you're seeing this cool stuff. One of the neat Easter eggs is they've got like grates exploding, as if he's there, right? He appears and he drops doors on you, right? In Suicide Squad itself, if you see him, you shoot him, he disappears. There's awesome moments. He doesn't hunt you at all. You're walking. It's kind of like Aliens Colonial Marines. Remember that game? The aliens.
I try not to.
Right, that's exactly. The aliens are supposed to be hunting you. This epic, incredible buildup. What? Burp, burp, done.
Yeah.
Shoot. It doesn't match. That's the part that I get so frustrated by. Yeah. But I do love playing it. Like, that's the thing.
When you're not playing the boss fights and you're playing the normal mobs, it's like, this is a ton of fun. And I think that's what some of the issue that I had with, like, I think the Flash fight. Listen, if you can't shoot the Flash, I'm sorry, that boss fight's easy. It's a joke. But like, the one that I actually truly I like the idea was like the Green Lantern fight, but every one of them afterwards just felt like, I don't know, they didn't do a great job marrying the traversal elements of the Suicide Squad with the boss fights, akin to, like, if I think of like Spider-Man 2, there are a couple of sequences in that game, some boss fights that use the traversal perfectly, and you're not even in the city when you're doing those fights. Some of them you are, but some of them you aren't. So like, there could have been, I don't know, that's my biggest hang up, is like the big epic moments don't feel epic, but the small little stuff, the in-between stuff, feels really solid. It feels really good. So like, at the end of the day, like, I fall on this being like, it's a good game. And I can understand if you're a fan of Rocksteady, you being disappointed with this because you're not necessarily expecting the game Arkham, but like the quality of those games are not there here. So I could understand the disappointment there. I'm not holding it against it that it's not Arkham. I like that they tried something new, but not everything comes together at the end. Oh, and Luke's muted because he's so
Sorry, fair enough.
I was typing. A sad side effect of this amazing Metropolis and this amazing traversal is that they are also in conflict. To make their traversal so good, you got to go vertical. By default, if you're going vertical and jumping and hopping and running, you're missing a lot of the very cool art that comes with creating an open verse game.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a bummer. And I think they've done a good job with some of the puzzles to get you down in there to see some stuff. There's not quite enough of it, but thankfully the end game seasons are going to bring more Riddler trophies, more puzzles, more elements into play. And I'm excited for that too, because after night, like there's like 6 trophies. It feels like there's like 6 little chat. It's like, there's not enough here, but I like that their plan is to distribute those. So I can look forward to not only playing as the Joker, but playing with new weapons, more Riddler-esque moments to explore more of Metropolis and the Elseworlds. But I will say, in story, the Elseworlds I thought were handled poorly as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really excited for what do you call it?
Dinner.
Well, that too. I'm really excited for
Season
damn
1.
it. Yeah. New playable characters, what I was going to say, because in a game like this, like a Borderlands style, Division style game, having new characters that are not only written well, like in Borderlands, but then new skill trees and new abilities and new traversal, I would assume, right? Is really, really cool. So I think it's cool that they're doing that. They have the first 4 seasons planned already. And literally, I talked about, we had a long discussion on Suicide Squad on last week's Bitcast, and one of the Rocksteady devs reached out to me and appreciated the conversation, but basically said like this launch is, without sharing anything, obviously, this launch is year 0. Like this is just getting the door open, right? Like the plan is to really expand with these characters and stuff. So,
and I'm definitely there for it. Yeah. It's not like the second coming of Christ. Like it's not like my game of the year, right? Like I know it has faults, but like I am truly I mean, obviously I put 30 hours, I plan to platinum it. So like this is gonna be my games as service game for at least the next, good month or two. So like I'm really excited. Like Joker looks really fun to play. So some of the other, DLC guys you got to take a look at after.
They're already leaked out there, but
okay.
But not even leaked. Some are leaked, but also they give you a screenshot, Ains. They will, like, in game, they tell you who's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. No, I didn't know that.
I won't spoil that, but I'm saying they do say or show you pictures.
Yeah. I'm excited. I really enjoy it. Like I said, I don't think my complaints with the game, I understand your guys' complaints outside of the continuing Arkham thing. And I think they're valid. But I just, they don't hold as much weight negatively to me. I really like the way the characters are written. I think it's going for this kind of goofy Suicide Squad approach, which I think they do really well. I like the banter between the characters an awful lot. There's a lot of funny quips and everything. And they did a really good job of having the 4 people not only feel unique, but as you're going around the city, the way they talk to each other and interact with one another is really, really well done. I don't think they're getting enough credit for that because that's not easy to do. You've created 4 characters you can switch to on the fly who have different abilities, weapons, and a traversal. Like, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
I don't know that I agree about weapons, but I agree with everything else.
Yeah, well, maybe not weapons, but build synergy. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I haven't even played this co-op yet, by the way, and I'm really excited to. If Luke will ever,
by the way, I played it with Zach and Alex on like when it launched, and I'm on Xbox. Alex was on PS5, and Zach was on PC, and we played fine. It's cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that because Logan and I tried to link up twice, and it didn't work. There was power outages for part of it, but like I had trouble getting in. I'm hopeful that, and can we make a call out for those that are in the chat? If you're playing Suicide Squad and enjoying, look into joining SG's clan or adding us on friends list because there's a really cool element of competition. Yeah, like I'm really enjoying.
How many people can you have in a?
I don't know, but we've done every challenge. All the weeklies have been done since like the first day. Like,
I gotta get on this.
you just gotta send me your name because you don't show on my friends list because you're not Xbox. So I have to enter your name to find you, but I can add you. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, good shout out to the Rocksteady devs as well. For those of us that played I bought the $100 version.
Me too.
They gave $20 of currency for that one down day, and we still need to see their store.
How do you get that? I don't think I have that.
You do have it, so that's a great. This is kind of what I want to PSA for people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once you get your like home base, the Hall of Justice, go to your mailbox. It'll be there for another 20 days. Go to your mailbox. It's there. And that's also where you get your rewards from your characters beating up on people or people using your bots. Please use my bots, by the way. They all have their Justice League gear on. They look cool. They've got good weapons.
Your bots suck.
Thanks.
Oh wait, you can use
so like there's a cool Dragon's Dogma element. Yeah,
that is pretty dope.
So here's the ironic thing. I don't like using other people's bots because I want my guys to look like my guys.
Oh, okay.
But I think
I don't use your people, but use mine.
But I'm gonna start switching that in once the store kind of expands and brings cooler outfits, and we get to see what people want to build, and once people have had time to get their infamy sets and their synergies, then you've got a lot of cool options. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The end game is beautiful and frenetic, and I'm really stoked for it.
But yeah, that's another really cool feature is you can use your 3 friends can be people on your friends list can be your bots, and they get rewards and resources and loot just for you using their bot.
Oh, so I'll definitely use yours. Holy shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's what I'm kind of saying is like I get the complaints from this perspective over here, but as a guy who like me, I play a lot of looter shooters, I play a lot of live service games, right? And you look at all the things this game does well, and it's like, dude, it's doing a lot of stuff like it's not getting credit for, and that's where I get a little annoyed.
Also, like the animations, like facial animations,
dude, like the texture quality even on console is nuts.
It's
like they look amazing.
Outside and inside cinematics, I'm just like sometimes like Harley Quinn's like she's going in the air and like I turn around just to see and like the animations outside of beautiful. It's nuts. It's nuts. So
people that are side by siding the Arkham Knight Harley,
they're like bullshit.
Well, not just that, but like that's not a fair 1-to-1. One's existing in a dynamic open world, and it looks great in motion. The other is a bit more sexualized and meant to be in that. And one of the cool things about it, this is a good acknowledgement. Harley even jokes about it. She's like, not a chance. I'm gonna wear something more modern. And I'm like, go on. There was that. Okay, funny thing. I know Ains is hungry, but funny thing.
Now he wants to go later, Joe.
Guys, I just got a DM. Oh my god.
Did you get a DM? Now you know.
I got a DM. Holy shit, this is not bullshit for clout or anything. Guys. Oh my god. I just got a DM from someone very big in this industry, and they said we need to wrap it the fuck up because Ains is so hungry right now.
This is my life every week. You're gonna live it.
Seeing him. He's in pain.
This is my life every week when your guys are like, "Can we go later?" I'm like, "I get up at 4:30 a.m." Okay. Last thing. My favorite
blew your guys' ears out.
Favorite thing about the people that are talking about it, like the narrative outside, is all the people that are like, it's woke, and like,
Jesus, yeah.
There's a gun store next to a pride flag. The gun store is in all pink, surrounded by the Justice League, and I'm like, they're trolling people. I like it, like, because somebody's like, or like the quarterings out there, like, oh, you made it political. And it's like, shut up. They're a government agency out to kill people. But I loved that because, like, I feel like I can see that picture, and I know, like, the January 6th mob and Marjorie Taylor Greene are like, we've got to stop the Suicide Squad.
Every time I enter the Hall of Justice,
I got to see a rainbow. That's right.
All right.
It's like, shut up. Shut up.
This is a Chili's.
Yeah, I got a kick out of it. Thanks for listening to me, Van. I appreciate the me getting to make a point because I don't think it's Arkhamverse baggage that changes the frustrations, and I'm excited.
I think it has for a lot of people.
Yeah,
that I agree with. Not me, and I think that's where I'm like, I'm not Dustin. Shut up.
I mean, a little bit, but anyway.
No,
I think you guys share some quality traits.
Yeah, we get it. I'm autistic, but like, come on, like I'm not. If he had just shut up, like he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
be quiet, bro.
Just be quiet. Just be quiet. Okay. That said, listen, it's time for us to head on out of here. You know.
Yeah, this pain, Ains, is what you put me through every week when it's 10:30 my time, and I'm like, hey, I'll be up in 5.5 hours.
10:30 to 5:30 it does not equal 5.5 hours.
It's 6, right? Is it
No.
6?
He's
What?
a teacher. He teaches the youth.
Do you have to like turn
He
your?
talked about what
Do
it
you guys
needs
have
to take to
shutdown
help,
time?
like,
This is a real question. Doesn't it take you shutdown time to like wind down after a show? There's a lot of lights and stuff flying at me right when we do.
Christ.
No, okay.
There's a lot of lights flying at me.
Yeah, you got a light here, a light here. You guys, there's this chat. Like that's a lot of stimulus.
How
guys
do
don't have
you
to
get
wind
through your
down?
days? Are
I
you
wonder that,
okay?
dude.
No, that's honest to God why I'm burned out at the end of a day. It's
I
a
wonder it
lot.
so many times. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, it's like 4:30. I message a chat and I'm like, oh, Luke hasn't responded. Oh, he's probably taking a nap. Like it's just.
My favorite message from
Oh,
Joe the
man.
past week was, "I have one day off, and Luke needs to destimulate."
Yeah.
Yeah, work is hard for me. Like it's a lot of social. It's a lot of.
I know. You're not used to it, buddy.
You guys get me in the evening. I'm like
No, I get
we
it.
record
Hey.
XP in the mornings.
Hey,
I'm patting you on the head.
you did a good job, bud. I'm real proud of you.
Good
Hey,
job,
high
buddy.
five.
High five,
Some-
buddy.
Like,
Come on.
please click like on my video. I get it. I'm on the spectrum. Thank you.
Luke, what do you got? Call it out.
All right. I just did an interview with Steven Totillo, which I enjoyed, which I enjoyed doing, and a lot of people did check out, which I appreciate. And I just put up my first video review for XEP. Logan and I doing that together, which I appreciated also because it was fun to learn and to the
Nice job,
process.
Logan.
He
Could have
hasn't
done
said
better.
once
No,
good
I
job.
was.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were just trolling me. All I want is Ains'
No,
praise,
because you
guys.
said he did the footage and edited. I was shouting out Logan for doing that.
He did. He did a great job, and I was really.
See, sometimes we joke too much, and then you can't tell when we're actually giving
That is true.
real compliments.
That is true because I'll go to Logan and be like, "Hey, they're being mean to me." But yeah, I would love it if people check that out. And just check out XCP in general. I had a flubbed episode where my mic was too hot, and people were still really cool. We had a great community episode. I'm just really grateful and thankful for that community because it sucks when people are always negative on socials and they are constantly positive. And so I'm grateful to them, to Logan. We got a review of the new Turtle Beach controller that we're going to be working on. We're just trying to grow and change XCP because we eliminated a patron show and we're changing stuff. And it's just fun to be on that journey with people.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. You know what? Oh, sorry, Ains. You go. I was going to, tag along to that one, but I remember how the show ends as per usual, just like every other.
I was simply going to say Logan's in the chat. So when he comes back, we can use this again, which would be cool.
Yeah.
So.
Can't wait.
I loved Logan on cast. It was actually really cool.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch.
Good show. Let's see. What do we got? We have a bunch of reviews going on right now. So review of Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is up from Alex, who knocked that one out for us.
Alex, you freaking weeb.
He actually, I think he put that word in the review at some point that I edited out. What else? We have Banishers in progress. We have
you got that one. I didn't get that one.
Helldivers in progress. We have I think we've got a bunch of reviews coming. Yes, as I joked and Luke joked, I did put my article up earlier today on Xbox and just thoughts. If you want to read that, I'd appreciate it. And then Bitcast, obviously, on Sunday morning at 11. I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot of Infinite Wealth, a lot of Xbox, and probably some other games that Travis has been playing as well, because I know he's reviewing Banishers as well. I don't know what the embargo is off the top of my head, though. So
Cool.
That's it. Thank you. Oh, by the way, shout out to everyone in chat. We hit like nearly 100 concurrent tonight for Cast, which I think is the highest we've ever had.
Yeah.
So this is a great show for Cast.
Someone heard Ains was mocking RDX, and that's what happened. They came in to check.
By the way, what happened? I haven't talked to I haven't been in the channels. What happened to Dealer anyway?
I don't know.
What did happen? I don't know. I don't
no,
don't
like
know.
Dealer,
did something happen?
He stepped away for a while. It's like something was going on. So I don't know if he's okay. No, I was seriously asking.
Yeah.
I was just teasing. Yeah. I don't know what happened. I hope he's okay. I hope his family's okay. I was just making a joke.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
that's what you were joking about. No,
No. Like I was just because I said that you were messing with Xbox content creators earlier.
no. Like anyway, yeah. But
Yeah.
I hope
Okay.
all's good there. I
All the
haven't
best for
talked to
that.
anyone.
Yeah. Way to land that
Anyway.
one on your feet there, Luke.
Yeah, good job.
Real
Good
great
job.
job. Real class act over here. No, we just made fun of Tim Dog and Cold Eastwood. That was, nature's gonna
And
start
we'll
healing
continue
next
to
week.
do so.
Yeah, we will start making better content and stop being an embarrassment. You're grown men. All right, relax. All right.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, like, I don't make content so that, like, I hope like people can enjoy it, not for like clout. I always make a video going like a family member could be watching this. God forbid
I
my mom
wish-
watches this,
Swear to goodness, I wish I was as talented in it as some of them are, Colt
Yeah.
included. I
Sure.
wish I was that talented.
Sure.
Aim your talent.
That's right.
Your
That's right.
maturity should match your talent.
There you go. You can find me over at Mr. Badbit. You can find my show over at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where this week me and Kyle talk about something similar here through the PlayStation perspective. We talk about the rumored PlayStation handheld. We talk about our impressions of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And Kyle gets real weeb about it. It's actually really great to see. It's beautiful to see. Nature's healing. And just shout out to the Trophy Room community, as I've seen a few folks from there in the chat. Y'all are wonderful. Like seeing the amazing questions, just like, man, y'all are so smart and usually much smarter than I. So thank you all so much for just being just the best. And also the seasoned gaming community. Y'all are just awesome, reasonable people.
Big
You know
time.
that? I hope you listening in your car, cubicle, wherever, that you're good people. You're doing the best you can with
They're
what
awesome.
you have. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're awesome. By the way, Midnight, I don't know if Midnight
All in
Grease
this
is
together,
still
guys.
here. I hope that they are, because they gifted a SG membership earlier on in the show. And we were so wrapped up in the details of the Xbox conversation that I forgot to put it up. So Drury gifts a membership almost every show we do, every Bitcast. So thank you very, very much. I hope you're still here. If not, I will shout you out on Bitcast on Sunday.
Yeah. Also, if you clip out anything, please leave Ains out of it. It's all just to point it all to the @insipidghost. That's my real handle, @insipidghost. Host of the Xbox expansion pass.
Excuse me, that's just the expansion pass.
The expansion
Yeah,
pass. We're
just the
rebranding.
expansion, right?
Yeah.
For future proofing.
Reasonable. Keep guessing it. Keep guessing it. Co-op. Boop. Boop. Shouldn't touch.